It has been 3 months since the Jalandhar Bishop Franco Mulakkal was granted bail in a sexual assault case against a nun, but there is still no charge sheet against him. Instead, what has happened is that the church is going after those nuns who came out in support of the nun who had been abused and who had filed that complaint against the bishop. Now, these nuns are being given warning letters by their congregation for allegedly breaching a code of conduct, and they're even being threatened with transfers.
3 months since Jalandhar Bishop Franco Mulakkal has been out on bail, but the charge sheet is yet to be filed in court. Franco Mulakkal was in jail for 25 days after a nun alleged that the bishop sexually abused her 13 times between 2014 and 2016. Top state sources tell NDTV a special prosecutor has been appointed only last week. The charge sheet has been made ready since around 2 months. The charge sheet is likely to be filed in around 1 week after the last evaluations by special prosecutor. The delay in appointment of special prosecutor was due to cases regarding Sabarimala. But the pressure on the nuns is only increasing. A nun living in Wayanad has received a warning letter from the Franciscan Clarist congregation. Second one in less than a month, seeking an explanation for speaking out in support of the nun who has raised allegations of sexual abuse against Bishop Franco Mulakkal and breach of other alleged code of conducts.
FCC സഭയെ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ബഹുമാനിക്കുന്നു. ഞാൻ ഓൾറെഡി ലെറ്റർ എനിക്ക് ശാരീരിക അസ്വസ്ഥതയും മാനസിക അസ്വസ്ഥതയും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന നാളുകളിൽ ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ റെഡിയാണ്. ഞാൻ എഴുതിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. പകുതിയോളം ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ തന്നെ എഴുതി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്.
5 other nuns have written to Chief Minister for help to allow them to continue to live together in the same convent after Missionaries of Jesus congregation have asked them to follow their transfer orders to different states.
I don't know what government can do. There is another part. They have separate rules and regulations for the congregant. Nuns should not be under pressure.
The nuns say they are under immense pressure and being isolated from within the church. But the police say that their probe is over. The charge sheet is ready to be filed in the court. And for now, their only jurisdiction is to be able to provide police protection to the nuns. With camera person SP Babu, Sneha Koshi for NDTV.
Well, joining us on that story tonight is Sister Jesme, who's been a former nun who has seen a lot of abuse within the church and the system within which it works for many years now. She's been very outspoken on these issues. Dr. Abraham Mathai, a former Vice Chairman of the State Minority Commission and President of the Indian Christian Voice, joins us from Mumbai. Brinda Adige, women's rights activist from Bangalore, and Fawad Halim, spokesperson of the CPM, joining us as well. Sister Jesme, to you first. This seems to be quite incredible that, here are these nuns who, spoke up and supported, the nun who had filed this police complaint against the bishop. And really, the congregation seems to be going after them instead. It's exactly what they were doing to the nun who filed the complaint on day one.
They don't want to encourage any other sister to come out with such complaints. They are trying to suppress even the other nuns. This is in an indirect way. They are punishing the other sisters, or it is a threat to the other sisters who remain in the convents that they shouldn't speak out. That's what they mean. So this is what's happening inside the convents. And see, I was waiting for 10 years for at least a few nuns to come out and speak what is going on within the decaying system. But even those nuns are being punished, but not the real culprit, the accused.
But is there a lot of anger? Is there a lot of anger, within the community about this? There may be people who are not speaking out publicly, but they must be absolutely appalled by the way the church and the congregation is, sort of going after these nuns. I mean, they're issuing them transfer orders and telling them to keep quiet.
There are plenty inside who are not able to speak out, and there are also many outside who understand that this is a sort of suppression or punishment meted out to innocent people. The believers, I believe that the youth among the believers are now realizing many things, what's going on within the church. Earlier, they were not ready to accept that. They blamed me 10 years back when I spoke out what is happening inside the convents, and then now they realize. So all the negative things happening now, maybe the scapegoats are the nuns, but I believe that is an eye-opener to the other blind believers. They are now becoming thinking believers.
Okay.
And they are realizing that something fishy is going on within the church.
An eye-opener to other blind believers. Dr. Mathai, do you see that actually happening? Do you see at least some kind of churning, some questions being asked within the community about what's going on here?
See, Nidhi, I have always stood in support of these victim nuns, and I also said last week on channels that the present action by the church leadership is totally unjustifiable. This is the time when the church, because in the first place the church initially failed to tackle this issue within the church. These nuns were compelled to come out there in public because the church's internal mechanism, the internal actual mechanism failed miserably to address this issue. Had the church taken cognizance of this issue, this would not have even come on public channels.
Absolutely.
And probably you and I would not have known about it. So in the first place, the church failed. Once they have failed, and now they even came, what I was told that they're having a parallel inquiry right now. Now having an inquiry doesn't make any sense because the court is seized of the matter, the whole nation knows about it. And these nuns who have supported and have stood with this victim nun, or you call it victor, they should be supported and protected. What I fear today is, after these letters of transfer, if they don't adhere to this, there is a possibility. I'm just saying, I'm actually prophesying. I'm not prophesying actually. You see that place in Kuruvilangad belongs to the diocese of Jalandhar, and they are on a lease to the congregation called the Missionaries of Jesus. They would even terminate that contract to ensure that these people go out from there. You know. So in such an eventuality, I feel it is the state or the court who has to intervene right now and maintain a status quo until the trial is complete. Because what will happen is these nuns who are standing as witnesses, they will be required to come to the court and testify. If they are sent to 5 different parts of India, it's impossible for them to come during the trial.
Absolutely.
Therefore,
that's a
in
good
the
point.
interest of justice, I believe the church should, in the interest of justice, the church should not transfer them. And if the church actually forces them out, I think the state or the court should intervene.
But Mr. Halim, you are a spokesperson of the CPM. What is actually also shocking in all of this is why the charge sheet has taken so long, as Sneha was pointing out in her story. And then when the nuns have written to the Chief Minister asking for help, the government says, well, what can we do? The church lives by its own rules. What kind of an answer is that? What has the state government done on this case?
Well, there are 2 things. The first thing is primarily one has to understand that religious, what you call authority affords a great deal of what you call immunity in general society, and it is open to misuse. And it is not only in the case of the Christian community. We've seen people in religious authority misuse and perpetrate similar crimes across all the different religions and denominations in India. So no religious authority in India is immune to such malpractices and such criminal activity. But in this case, you see the issue is under investigation, and one of the problematics in the state interfering in religious orders and how they function is related to our understanding of the Constitution. But having said that, if a criminal act is being investigated, it should be investigated with due diligence, and all parties involved should appear to be cooperating
but Mr. Halim,
with it.
A special prosecutor was only appointed last week, and the man got bail 3 months ago. So the case has actually been on for several months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's yet to be filed in court. We are told, even though the charge sheet is ready.
Also
so there doesn't seem to be any seriousness by the state to move on this.
It is proceeding. The state has taken cognizance of the complaint, and the state is what you call proceeding with the investigation as per the requirements. Now, in this case, definitely no quarter should be given in terms of due diligence as far as the case and its investigation is concerned. At the same time, because a religious authority is involved, a religious denomination is involved, a religious structure is involved, it also behoves the people of the religious order and the authority to also cooperate with the investigation and ensure that there are no pressures
So,
put on
let me ask
people who
Brinda
are associated with the
who joins us.
So
Do you buy this argument
on both sides?
that in a sense what Mr. Halim seems to be saying is that because the church is involved, you know, we are maybe, you know, sort of tiptoeing around this, trying to be extra careful, doing our due diligence, as he puts it?
I think what he's talking about is absolutely irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant in this case because a crime has been committed. This crime can be committed anywhere, inside the church, outside the temple, inside the mosque. It is a crime, and this crime has to be punished, which means perpetrators need to be secured, and you cannot have the church or the convent or all those institutions under the church, under any garb, intimidating the victims and the witnesses, which is now what is happening by the church as well as the congregation, having transferred the nuns to 5 different places. Instead of giving them protection, what they are trying to say is that we will now psychologically, emotionally make you feel so vulnerable that you will never ever speak up against any kind of injustice and exploitation that happens within the church. And if the state doesn't come in now, who else is going to come? I do not want to even tell this person, Mr. Halim, that you cannot talk of a crime that has taken place. It is rape, sir. Not once or twice, 13, 15 times it has happened. It has happened, and this man is out on bail, and these nuns are being asked to go to the same place. Why isn't the court filing a case on them on criminal intimidation? Why are all these other nuns and priests and bishops who have transferred these people not put in as co-accused, as accomplices to the rape? Because that is what all this is all about. You are not securing, not giving protection and safety to the victims and to the victim and the witnesses. And the state's stand is absolutely shameful.
The state has a huge responsibility here. Absolutely. Because this is not a religious issue. This is not about a religious structure. This, Mr. Halim, this is not about a religion. This is about a crime. This is about a crime against a woman, a very serious crime against a woman. So the state really needs to do much more. Dr. Mathai, you were making a point.
No, I'd just like to respond to that, yes, if you allow me.
I don't agree with Mr. Halim. Mr. Halim, let me just come in 1 minute. I don't agree with you, Mr. Halim.
No,
that the state has done enough.
Definitely a comment has been made. I would like to respond to that.
Even to arrest the accused. One second, let me complete and then you respond. Secondly, I am telling you, the state and the government are going slow for the simple reason is they fear that they lose their vote bank. So this is a kind of politics being played. So my humble submission is, if the state fails, that the court should respond and
step in. Mr. Halim, I have 30 seconds. Quick response from you.
Because the state will play very safe.
Can you give us at least a time frame within which the charge sheet will actually be filed to begin with?
There are 2 things, Nidhi, you have to keep in mind. Number 1 is the judicial exercise which will be undertaken by the judiciary, in which the state has no role. The second part is that all the speakers have agreed that it is an investigation of a crime and there is a religious authority involved with it, which is why it behoves the state administration to give it the due diligence and extra caution so that these issues will not be extrapolated. It's not a question of protecting a vote bank, but it is a question of ensuring that the crime needs to be identified thoroughly and the culprits have to be brought to book. And extra caution has to be maintained over here. Otherwise, religion in India being a very sentimental issue, it definitely one has to be keep that in mind.
All right. Well, we're keeping an eye on this. We're told the charge sheet may just be filed within the next week.
And it is acting with the caution that the case deserves and merits.
This is not about any religion. This is about a crime, a rape, multiple rapes, and let's please, hopefully, just look at it from that prism rather than from any other one. Thank you to all of you for joining us.